What's up, everybody? It's the Common Sense Investor coming at you with another video. In this video, you're going to need a pen and paper because what I'm going to be sharing with you are two giants who are about to take a nosedive into the market, and it could very well start the collapse. I'm going to tell you who they are. I'm going to tell you when they sent a notice to their shareholders about it, and I'm going to show you exactly when they begin liquidating. So, pen and paper. Pause it if you need to. Get your pen and paper. Get ready. And here we are. We're going to get started. First, I want to say that I was over in the Discord, got a message from Chris. Chris said, "Hey, CSI, would you be interested in any DD that BlackRock has been suspended from trading?" And I said, fuck yeah, I'm interested in that. If BlackRock has been suspended from trading, we need to know about that, because BlackRock starts off long in AMC, then they have to sell out of their AMC, and we believe that they were the ones behind the algorithm that was to bring the MOASS. So something fell apart. And now you're telling me that BlackRock has been suspended from trading? Fuck yeah, I want to know about that. So he sent me the link. Now, what it says is that BlackRock sent a letter to their shareholders. All right? And what it says is that it's an update on the suspension of the calculation of the NAV of BlackRock Global Fund's Emerging Europe Fund, from this point on called the Fund. All right? And it says that on the 28th of February 2022, the Board of Directors of BlackRock Global Funds took the decision to suspend the valuation and consequently issues, redemptions, and conversions share classes for the fund from the 1st of March 2022. The decision was made in order to protect the interests of investors in the funds, and the suspension remains in place until further notice. Now, the first thing I want you to realize with this letter are these dates. On February 28th, they notified their shareholders of their decision, and that the valuation, the suspension of the valuation, would begin March 1st, 2022. So, now what does that mean? What this means is the suspension of the calculation of the NAV. I'm not going to act like I'm some kind of stock guru. I went and Googled it. I put, what does the suspension of the calculation of the NAV mean? And it told me that that means they freeze the price. That whatever the price is of that fund come March 1st, that would be the locked in price until whatever crisis was over with, and it would stay that way until further notice. So I said, okay, we got a date here. March 1st is when this is supposed to happen. The suspension kicks in. Then I do a little digging while Chris has got company at his house, and I come across this article right here by JP Morgan. JP Morgan happened to send the exact same fucking letter to their people saying what? This letter requires your immediate attention. If you have any questions about the content of this letter, you should seek independent professional advice. Now, that sentence right there tells me two things. This is immediate. Hey, pay attention. This is important. And if you have any questions, maybe you need to go talk to a fucking lawyer. You need to seek outside professional advice on how to move forward after you read this letter. That's what that tells me. All right? And I go ahead and I find out that what requires their shareholders' immediate attention is that they would be suspending the calculation of the NAV of JP Morgan funds, Russia Fund, and JP Morgan Fund's Emerging Europe Equity Funds. All right. And it was dated March 1st. The same day, BlackRock's is supposed to go into action. JP Morgan's goes into action. So now we got two companies. We got BlackRock and we got JP Morgan who are going to suspend the calculation of the NAV of the fund. They were going to freeze the prices until the Russia situation comes to an end. Now, when we read that, well, let me clarify that. What happened here was when I kept seeing March 1st here and I seen Russia here, and I said, let me Google March 1st, 2022 headlines. And come to find out, this was 6 days after the Russian invasion. BlackRock and JP Morgan issued their warning to their people that they would be suspending these funds. So, what did I have so far? To begin with, we started off with BlackRock. And BlackRock suspends one of the valuations of its funds. On the same day that JP Morgan suspends two of their funds, and that date was March 1st, 2022. Now you may be saying to yourself, but CSI, this was 6 months ago. This is old news. And I said yes. And Chris had an interesting question. We started talking about how we can benefit from this. He says, do we go with the two JP Morgan ETFs, or do we want to go single stock from the ETF like the Pelosi's? And I shared with Chris, I said, well, they're going to suspend the valuation, or it is suspended and locked in. So getting in on the ETF wouldn't make sense. But the stocks inside the ETFs are still trading. So that's where the price movement will come, not with the ETF itself, until the crisis is over. So if we had a list of the stocks that were in these two funds, then I could narrow it down to what stock would have the most downward pressure on the day that they begin liquidate these stocks from these funds. Oh wait, I forgot to mention that. When I said that if we knew the stocks that were in these funds, we could buy puts in them. So let's find out what stocks were in these funds. Chris comes back to me a few minutes later and he says, CSI, check this out. Here are two different funds that JP Morgan says that they're going to be liquidating. And this is on their website, and it was made August 12th, 2022. JP Morgan Asset Management announces liquidation of two exchange-traded funds. Another way to say it is they're going to unwind these two traded funds. In other words, they're going to be selling the stocks and closing out these funds, just like you heard Melvin Capital doing. All right. And the article showed me that it was these two funds that would be getting liquidated. And I told Chris, I said, Chris, get us a list of stocks. And he said, okay, I'm on it. And then 10 minutes later, here he comes. He gives us a list of stocks, and he says that he's got company over. He has to go. So I said, well, I'll be up to no good while you're gone. And using the links that Chris sent to me, first was the JP Morgan US Dividend ETF. And as you see right here, that's one of the ones that's being liquidated this in September. It's trading at $32.29. Why? Because it's not, the valuation hasn't been suspended on this ETF. So we can go puts on the ETF, or scroll down and we get a top 10 list holdings of what stocks are in this fund. All right. And then on the other fund, we see the JP Morgan US Minimum Volatility ETF, which Right here is the second fund that's being liquidated. All right. And I took those names and I put them in a spreadsheet. And I compared the two ETFs and made a list of the stocks that were in each one. And General Mills is the only stock that is in both funds. So I told Chris, I said, now we got a choice. We could trade puts in the two ETFs separately, or since we know that General Mills is going to be in both of them when they liquidate and unwind, then General Mills will have more down pressure than the rest of them because they're only single. Here, they're on General Mills is on both of them. So that's where we're at right now. We're trying to figure out which way do we want to go come Tuesday. Do we want to go puts on the two JP Morgan ETFs, or do we just want to go puts on General Mills? Tell me what y'all think. We haven't even added in that BlackRock's ETFs and the other ones that are going to be liquidated in the month of September. But right here, we know that, just like the article says, JP Morgan Asset Management announces liquidation of two exchange-traded funds, and you see the liquidation date is September 14th. That the last day of trading for these two funds will be 9/6/2022, and then liquidation will start of the two funds on the 14th of September. So, CSI, don't tell us dates. September 14th. I'm not telling it to you. JP Morgan told you that's when they start unwinding these two funds. And then, as I made this list, Chris comes back to me and he says, I've got more funds that are going to be liquidated. And I told him, I said, look, bro, I got to get some sleep right now. We're on top of it. This is heading in the right direction here. If a lot of these funds had been saying that they're going to liquidate their funds, and here it is, what date are they supposed to liquidate? September 14th. So that's when there will be a lot of down pressure, because I'm telling you, he's finding more that are liquidating. This is when it starts, people. Somewhere around the 14th. Maybe the 12th, maybe the 16th, but we will see liquidation of these two JP Morgan funds starting then. Now, if you want me to, comment down below. We'll go dive a little deeper and we'll find out. I'll make a list of all the other funds that are supposed to be getting liquidated here in September, and which will, as you know, will push the price of the stocks down and the market's going to crash. It's going to become a fire sale of people that are trying to liquidate and cash up because of collateral requirements that have just went into effect. You know, the 10% haircuts. What's all this is about? So I hope you enjoyed this video. You now know that from me and Chris working last night, right now I've got in my notebook, not to forget, that I have to check these stocks, particularly General Mills, for puts come Tuesday morning. Love y'all. Be blessed. See you in the next video.
In the matrix, they out here wildin' and it's too much, I can't take it. Red pill, blue pill, my mind knew they would shape it.